To this week's episode of The Pool. As you'll notice, it's myself, Joel, Tiffany, and Caitlin. This time around, we kind of realized one of the issues was that sometimes we ended up going off on tangents, and instead of talking about great stories for any real measure of time, or I guess giving them the proper due, we ended up talking, like rambling on about a story for 30 minutes. So,
us?
Yeah, we're taking a more, I guess, structured approach, and we've kind of organized it down to comics that we want to pay particular attention to. But yeah, are we opening up with Superman? Is that what we're doing?
That's right. You're
okay.
Up,
all right, so we're kicking it off with Superman. Superman number 14 came out today, and it was a doozy. I'm glad to see they're invoking the multiverse again, because it feels like a DC Rebirth. They're just kind of like, hey, it's just the main DC timeline, and we kind of knew the multiverse was there because Grant Morrison's Multiversity was just rolled over to New 52. But I'm really curious to see what's going on, because I think that was Captain Carrot at the end.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was like, shrunk down back into his most base form. But it's also cool to see all these different iterations of Superman. Like, I'm glad they're finally rolling in, God, what is his name? The Chinese Superman. Connor Kong? Keenan Kong, yeah. I'm glad to see they're finally rolling him in to, like, the main Superman story, because it feels like he's been in left field. But we also got Earth 2 Society. No, that was Earth, whatchamacallit. For when I first saw that, I thought it was Val Zod. And I was like, God, that's crazy. But, no, I like what they're doing so far. The story seems really cool. It looks like we're leading into this multiversal Superman battle, which is kind of reminiscent of Final Crisis, the last few scenes. And I'm kind of digging that. But yeah, it seems pretty solid so far.
I love the title was a multiplicity instead of multiversity.
Yeah.
Nice play on words. To give credit to my buddy Matt, actually, if you go to his Twitter, he actually made an entire list of all the Supermen that showed up in that last page, and there's like 15 well-known Supermen that showed up in one page.
Well, that was a cool thing, because as I was going through that, I was like, okay, we have numbers, and I was looking to see if anyone over 52, and I was like, nope, we're still at 52 universes. I was like, we're good. Like, the number 52 is magic in DC. I don't know. It's like 7 in Harry Potter. It's weird. But yeah, no, I liked it. I really like they're going with the trend of it being hopeful, of it still kind of being like the bigger mystery. But I liked that it was like when Superman sat down, he's like, okay, let's try to figure this out, because we really don't want to have to, like, fight anybody anymore. And it was really cool to see it all come together.
It's an important thing to note, too, all those aliens who were going around kidnapping Supermen from the multiverse, and they were talking about the list. Our Superman was not on the list, though. What does that mean?
I don't know.
I assume it means he's a man out of time.
Possibly.
Like, he's so far removed that they're not even sure what to do with him. I couldn't get over the fact that it was Red Sun Superman. That was just...
Yeah.
Like, this is the introduction? That's amazing! Like, I thought that was so awesome. And I gotta tell you, knowing Sal and knowing his disagreeing with Grant Morrison, I thought that was really funny that they chose Captain Carrot at the end. Like, I thought that was so funny, because you could take that as two ways. It's like, oh, it's a little tip of the hat to Grant, or it's a like, yeah, whatever, Grant, we're just doing our own thing over here. Thanks for coming out. We're not gonna call it multiversity, we're gonna call it multiplicity, and we're gonna depower your character for now. So
yeah,
I was like, that's an interesting thing to do there, because you can really read it a couple of ways.
Well, to answer your question about Superman, I think it kind of goes back to the first couple arcs of Action Comics of Superman, where it was like, he's not supposed to be here. Like he's in the wrong time. This is not how things are supposed to be. And that would make sense. That would be kind of cool. But
yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah.
So any extra thoughts on that book, guys?
Can't wait to see where it goes.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So at that point, we're gonna move over to Champions, which is a book that I've only recently kind of discovered. Like, I read the last issue, and I was like, oh, I get why everybody's talking about how great it is. and this issue picked up right where we left off. We left them, like, plummeting into the ocean due to a freak being hit by a missile of some kind. And just the team really trying to work together, still trying to figure out who is in charge of the team. We really have two front runners here, and almost a nod to who will take over running the team. But overall, like, I loved the message of this book, being that not everything has to be a mission. Not everything has to be part of this huge overarching story. Not everything has to be an event. And I thought that was really kind of cool about this book, because so far this book has really shown us just all these different ways to tell a story with this brand new team, especially with a younger team. Even at the fact that at the end, when they show you, like, the cover that's coming next, they have, like, tweets on there about this book. I just think that's so great, and I think it's a really cool way to actually reach out to a new like group of readers if that's what they're actually trying to do. I think this is a really stellar way to try it. Overall, we the team itself, like, it has a little bit of angst here and there, but like I appreciate that. That's the age group, it totally
They're
works.
teens.
It is, yeah, exactly. They're teams, and it totally fits with them, but it's not over the top. Like, yeah, like Viv talks about what happened with her family, but like in a very matter-of-fact way. Like, that's what happened. Like, this is what happened, and like I loved like Nova's reaction to that. Like, oh, like he has more out of an emotional, reaction to it than she does, because she can just turn that off, and I love that element of having this like humanoid individual who can turn her emotions on and off as need be. Like, that is such like an interesting concept to put in with all these like hormonal, like, younger characters, So, and I gotta tell you, like, throwing the Atlanteans in there, showing like Hulk being like, I have a plan, and immediately just being like 20 minutes later and it's just totally gone awry. I was like, this is brilliant. I love this. I like the humor of it. I like the lightheartedness, but like they can be serious like we saw in the last issue.
You gotta give. I was gonna say, you gotta give credit to Wade too. I think he did more work rehabbing the character of Cyclops in this one issue than the last like 50 X-Men stories have done. That is where it's like, yeah, of course I can fly the plane. My parents were pilots. My dad's a space pirate. You didn't know that? Yeah, I've been leading teams my whole life, and I'm like, you know what, Cyclops? I think you should be leader now, actually.
Right, and so did they, and I think that, like, it's interesting because he gave a nod to Miss Marvel, but clearly in doing so, he's showing his abilities to lead, so, like, that's really cool, and, like, out of all of this, Miles has, in my opinion, the most level head. Even though we have a robot in the group, he has the most level head throughout the whole thing.
You gotta love they almost had a dig, and I wonder if you guys caught this, too, to like IVX, where Kamala and Scott are sitting there and they're like, man, we're an Inhuman and a mutant. We should probably hate each other, right? But we seem to be getting along just fine.
Exactly.
Wink.
Yeah. Caitlin, what did you think about this?
Oh, for Champions?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been enjoying Champions just because I really like getting the chance to actually explore these younger heroes, how they operate together in a team. Their character interactions are really fun, and I like the lightheartedness that comes with it. It's a really nice change from Civil War. So I've been enjoying it, and especially since Old Man Logan and Moon Knight have been so heavy, Champions just feels really refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, even the art itself is, I don't know, like, every once in a while I notice it kind of struggles here and there, but like for the most part it seems like they're really hitting their stride and they're really like becoming comfortable with this team and the world that they're building.
And it's got that fun pop art feel, which really blends in well, I think, with the more youthful team, and it also creates some fun throwbacks to older Marvel.
Absolutely. How about you, Rob? You read this, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good kids book. I mean, like if you're if you enjoy young, vibrant kids, it reminds me a lot of like the kind of Young Justice / Young Avengers kind of feel, where it's like, hey, here's
Titans too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like here's Young Justice. Like, if you are a kid from a background, whether it's like socially anxious or you're sheltered, something like that, there is a Young Justice member for you, and it feels like that with Champions. I do like the comment about Miles Morales though, because he really is the most level-headed. Because you got to think, like, from the time that he first adopted the Spider-Man mantle, like, he was picking up for Peter Parker in the Ultimate Universe, so he had to respect that whole legacy, even though everybody said no, you shouldn't. He had Peter Parker from the main Marvel Universe officially give him the blessing. He's been alongside Peter Parker in Marvel Prime, and he's like his protege. So, I mean, it's like with a hallmark hero who's been fighting for however long, and like one of the original superheroes, really, in DC, it makes sense that Miles Morales to be the most level-headed, but it also makes sense to throw him in a group with his own. I like this, because they're giving a home to people who otherwise probably wouldn't have one, which is cool. I think it's pretty awesome.
And of course, at the end of this, we know that the linchpin, or like this monkey wrench, is going to be thrown into the mix.
Yeah.
Which I'm looking forward to, because really with this team, you can take them anywhere. They can deal with something super dramatic. They can deal with something that's like ridiculous. Like, I think it's going to be fun.
Well, that was okay. The Gwenpool thing, I think, probably would have been funnier if at the end of the issue, Kamala Khan or whoever it was, said instead of saying like anybody who thinks that people deserve justice can be a champion, instead she was like, well, we're not really accepting new members, and then like Gwenpool's making a cape for herself. That would have been hilarious.
It'd be funny if that keeps happening. Like new people show up and be like, "Hey, can I be a champion?" You don't really fit our key demo. Like if Robbie Reyes showed up and like, but you kill people, Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Exactly. So overall, I think we all kind of dig Champions. We know it's one of those books that not everyone's talking about. Like everyone who knows it and reads it loves it, but overall, I think a lot of people just forget it's out there. So hopefully, if you haven't picked it up, you do that. But I think next on the list, Kaylin, Harley Quinn.
Yay! So this issue of Harley was for those who've been following Harley, we had a huge reveal on the last official issue before we got our holiday special. And I'm sorry if I'm ruining it for everybody. Spoiler alert, at the end of that issue, the Joker shows up to...
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Yes, presumably to try and win her back. And the last time we saw her encounter with the Joker was issue 26 when she kicks the ever-loving hoo-ha's out of him.
Love that one.
Yeah, really good. And she goes, "Don't come near me, don't ever talk to me again, don't you come see me again, or I will kick you in the face until you die." He shows up at her house and she's kind of taken aback. She's like, "Oh, holy hell." She didn't think he was getting out. And beforehand, we had a couple lead-up issues where she goes into one of Cobblepot's clubs, sort of chasing after this clue to him that she found. And this clue is basically connected to possibly his attempt to try and reach out to her. And we get that confirmation right before we go on break. So this was sort of an extrapolation of that. We didn't really get our climax because they didn't have their official meeting. So he shows up at her house. He gets a little bit threatening, a kind of like, "So we're going to meet to talk about us." And she's like, "There's no us. Get out or I will kick you in the face until you die." And he's like, "Yeah, let's meet at the park to talk it out." She's like, "No, I don't want to meet at the park to talk it out." He's like, "But we should totally meet at the park to talk it out." And she's like, maybe.
Oh.
Well, before this, we actually had a really sweet issue where she and Ivy go on vacation and she kind of tries to work through some of these personal attachment issues that she has. She's even seeing a therapist that she pays in food.
Oh, wow. That's a nice touch.
So really nice of him to be paid in like 20 hot dogs per session. But she, that she's trying to work out, and she's actually just been rejected by Ivy right before this event. So she's vulnerable, and then he shows up.
Now, which Joker is this? Because I know that there are supposedly 3.
Yeah. In Rebirth, they're kind of going with the 3 Jokers. This one seems to be hearkening back a little bit closer to our purple-suited Joker, our more Jack Nicholson kind of Joker. So he's got the slick-backed green hair. He's got the long purple trench. I don't know specifically which Joker this is, but it's the Joker we've been seeing throughout Rebirth.
And also,
it's
too,
the Joker we've been seeing in Harley's New 52. So it's the same one.
Also, too, and I'm sure you would say this as well, Caitlin, the Harley books kind of exist in their own weird continuity at the same time, so it gets even weirder.
They kind of do. It's really hard to pinpoint where in continuity Harley is right now, especially in regards to Rebirth as a timeline, because supposedly Rebirth is a timeline. So this Harley is existing within the Rebirth timeline. However, she's also hanging out with the Suicide Squad, battling Lobo and Max Lord. So it's like with the Justice League. So it's we're kind of going boop boop. Where in continuity does this belong?
Right, at which point?
Also, comic writers and celebrities exist in the world of Harley Quinn that don't exist in the greater DC universe.
That's true. Harley Quinn's current authors, Connor and Palmiotti, exist in this universe too.
They show up.
She's even spoken to them several times. So we don't know where in continuity this lies because it is supposedly in the Rebirth timeline. I'm sure it's somewhere. Maybe it's just slightly off universe, like a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Right.
But we really don't know. But this is the Joker from Harley's New 52.
Okay,
And I know the question if Harley's New 52 Joker and, Snyder's New 52 Joker, if they're the same at all. I know there's been that question, and that's been kind of debated. We really have no way to confirm that. But he is back. He's very menacing, and I'm kind of excited to see how that interaction goes, because they have been building up to it, and they've even planted a few villains in Harley's past adventures that were leading up to Joker breaking out of Arkham after her epic smackdown of him. So I think in Harley Quinn Rebirth, we're looking at the Joker as her main villain, and I think they're going to come to blows at some point. Which
That's really cool.
Wow.
really
I gotta
see that.
Seems
hop
like
back
kind-
in on that now.
Yeah,
Hey,
because
Caitlin.
it's like kind of a cool jumping on point if you haven't been following this book.
Oh,
Yeah,
let me
this
see that ring, Kate. I want to see your ring.
Oh, you want to see my... Oh, this song.
Damn.
Oh,
Bling, bling, bling.
Wow, that ring looks amazing. Jesus.
it is...
Ah, the
that
light
rock-
is blinding.
Wow.
I was admiring it in the car on our way back from Colorado. I was like, my eyes!
The shine on your bling.
God, man, this ring, it takes no prisoners, man. This is insane.
It corrected my vision.
Wow.
It's just, it's really, really, really stunning. And he took me, so we went to Colorado, which was actually where we started our relationship, which was really cute. Well, I knew him from high school, and then we were really good friends all through college, but he lived in Colorado and I lived in California. And then one year he came back to California, and, we were hanging out as friends like we normally did, but then something changed when the Fire Nation attacked. The Fire Nation of my passion. And I moved out to Colorado and got my first job at a publishing company, and the rest is history. But he proposed to me in Boulder, which was our favorite place, and he took me to the super isolated area up a mountain, and I thought to myself, this is it. The moment I find out he's a serial killer.
Yeah, he pushes me off.
Played the long game.
He played the long con on that one. But no, he when he knelt down in the mud, the whole view, it was just like this ledge overlooking Boulder, and he didn't push me off, and instead he got down into the mud to propose. And at first I was like, why you getting in the mud, son? Why you gotta ruin your pants like that? That's stupid. Then he pulled out the ring and he said, will you marry me? And I went, why?
Wow.
Excellent answer.
And then I was like, no, yes, I want to marry you. I was just wondering why you would ever want to hitch your wagon to this disaster.
Then you put on the ring and said, in brightest day and blackest night.
Yes. No evil can escape my sight.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I got really excited with that. But
Aw.
All right. So Harley Quinn, if you're not on it, you're interested at all, now's a good time.
Harley Quinn's some good shit, almost as good as this ring, bruh.
There you
Awesome.
go.
But now we're gonna slide back over to Marvel, and Joel, you're gonna talk to us about Unworthy Thor.
Sure. I mean, this
My
has been-
dog is very worthy.
That-
How dare you say that about him? He's an innocent puppy.
I didn't say it. Jason Aaron said it, man. But yeah, I mean, this has been a really cool, really cosmic Thor tale. He's the prisoner of the Collector right now. He's trying to grab a hold of that ultimate hammer, but he just can't do it. He's getting really down on himself. He got into a bit of a berserker rage,
Yeah.
and we even got to see. And I know Rob's busting at the seams about this. How cool was it that Black Swan and Proxima Midnight showed up again, and they want to grab the hammer for Thanos now?
Dude, as soon as I saw that, when it was Proxima Midnight and it was Black Swan, I was like, oh yes, awesome, because I really wanted the Cabal to stay. I don't know about you, but I loved Thanos' Cabal from the whole Hickman Avengers, the New Avengers. No, dude, I love the Warrior's Madness, and I love he didn't have his hammer with it. It was just the Warrior's Madness choking the hell out of Beta Ray Bill. Like that was super cool. Yeah, dude, that was so awesome. I was so hyped to see that. Dude, Jason Aaron, man, everything that guy touches is gold. I swear to God, it's insane.
I know.
This was a coming full circle thing too. Thor finally cuts his hair, finally gets into the outfit we've seen in all the covers, and he's like, look, hammer or no hammer, I am still Thor, unworthy or not, and I'm getting that goddamn ultimate hammer, even if I have to smack everyone who's in my way.
Well, the cool thing
Good
too,
stuff.
and I don't know if you picked it up, but the cool thing too is he's tying into. You remember like after Thor died, Marvel started releasing, or I guess died during Ragnarok. Marvel started releasing like all these little mini series and stuff like that, and they had I want to say it was maybe 9-issue mini series that dealt with like how he became worthy. And
Yeah.
the first one was the mission he was sent on by Odin with Sif and Loki. Then the second one was them fighting, and the third one was him picking up the hammer for the first time. And like that, I think Jason Aaron was like tapping into that, like tying into that. He may come back and retcon it, but it was super cool that he's like grabbing this history of Thor and throwing it in. Man, I will say this, like it used to be Ultimates and it used to be Old Man Logan, but I think Unworthy Thor is like the best series that Marvel has out right now.
It's been so good for so long, and Aaron's been telling one solid story since like the original Marvel. Now here's another thing I want to talk to you about, Rob, and I guess everyone else too as well. Theories on the weird cloaked guy who seems to be kind of playing all the sides on this one. They seem to be trying to make you think that maybe this is Gore the God.
I thought it
back
was
again.
Gore, yeah.
It would make sense in Aaron bringing things full circle to the first story he told with Thor, but at the same time I have to wonder, is that a big dodge? Is that like a Kansas City shuffle that they want to confuse you? Could that also possibly be whatever Fury and the Watcher became together? Because we saw him at the beginning and we don't know what they want.
I don't know. I mean, because as far as I know, like they introduced they had God Butcher, didn't they? Like that, like he showed God Butcher's still there, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a nightmare about it.
Oh,
Or
that's
it could have
right.
been
That's
a
right.
Vision. We don't know.
But it's not actually
I think
him.
God Butcher's name should be changed to Weird Cloaked Guy.
Weird cloak guy.
Weird cloak guy.
I mean, dude, it could be any
No,
number of
weird
people. Okay, here's a kicker. Wouldn't it be crazy if it were actually like Ultimate Thor?
Oh shit!
That would be mind blowing.
I survived too.
I survived
want my
too.
hammer back.
I mean-
Can't
I
vote.
like Weird Cloaked Thor. That's the plot that I want.
That
My
would be
heart's
cool.
set on it now.
No,
Or it could just be Loki, because like, isn't it always Loki?
I mean, it could, but see, that would be well. No. I don't think it's Loki because remember, Loki I think is involved in the War of Realms or whatever. Well, I guess now it's the Shi'ar Asgardian War, but
He
like,
should be, but we don't know how that's happening in conjunction to the other thing. The times are all over the place because Thanos was in the Triskelion, but Thanos is off doing the Thanos book. It's all very
well, no. As far as I know, this takes place. No, that is a good question because this takes place before. Because what this does, I think, as far as I know, this leads up to when Thanos, or I don't know, maybe I'm not remember the first issue correctly, but I think this leads up to how it was that he was taken at the beginning of Thor. No, because he escaped, didn't he?
But we see that, but he's also there for a long period of time.
Yeah, that's true. God,
I think Aaron fudged the numbers just a little bit to make it make sense.
I mean, it'll all come together in the end. But no, I mean, just
I know
in terms of the story, like this is probably one of the. This is why I say if you guys are not reading Jason Aaron's Thor, I know a lot of people didn't like Jane Foster Thor. I know a lot of people. It's easier to say the story's bad than to sit down and read it. But
You're
Jason
missing
Aaron's
out on one of the best long form stories that
Dude.
Marvel has told in a long time.
Like-
this is a saga. It's a freaking saga.
It is like this is Jason Aaron's like this is his magnum opus. Like when this finishes, I think it's going to be one of the greatest Thor runs in the history of his character, if not the greatest Thor run in the history of the character.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that's even close to it is didn't Straczynski do a run at some point?
Dude,
or am I
Straczynski's
thinking
just
someone-
beautiful. Yeah, Straczynski did Thor after he came back from Ragnarok. That was Thor Volume 1, and it started with 600. And then Kieran Gillen did Journey into Mystery, I think.
Yes,
But
I would say it's already up there with that stuff. It can only get better from
dude,
here.
it's solid, man. Yeah, I'm doing Straczynski's run of Thor. But yeah,
Nice.
it's good. It's super good.
So you're liking it? You're liking Unworthy
Oh
Thor?
hell yeah!
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Rob, you want to talk to us about Justice League and Suicide Squad?
Justice League versus Suicide Squad is one of the best damn stories that I've ever read. Okay.
Really?
Dude, my initial thought was this is going to be a run-of-the-mill Justice League fighting the Suicide Squad. Okay, how good can this be? And then this issue was, hey, I had the Suicide Squad capture you to see if they could pull it off. You guys are going to fight together. Why? Because Maxwell Lord is leading the original, like the first Suicide Squad. I think she said the first Suicide Squad she put together. I am excited about this. Lobo.
Emerald Empress.
Dude.
Mr. Sorrow himself.
Yeah, Johnny
Russ
Sorrow,
It
dude.
Stan.
is so beautiful, it melts other faces.
Don't forget
Literally
Ross
melts
Stan,
other
who has
faces.
A long storied history with the Squad, and especially Rick Flag. That's an old Suicide Squad pull to get him in there.
And we've only got a few issues left. It's good.
I just want to say, I freaking called this. In those early issues, I was like, this is a slow burn, quick summary, get to know you, and you can tell by the art style that they are going to hardcore bring back old school Suicide Squad style elements. You can go back into those weekly pull episodes. I freaking called it so hard. And now we got the OG squad and Waller's being an OG. See you next Tuesday. And I'm so excited.
She sure
Yeah.
is.
And I gotta tell you, I have nothing against this book. I like this book. I've only read this issue and I'm already on board. But I gotta tell you, how is this not just every crossover formula ever?
Oh, it
Oh
is.
no, we met up and we have to fight, and now we have to work together. And I'm just like, of course you do.
I mean, it is pretty
It is, but
formulaic.
it's like you know what? It's like Bunch of Crunch. Like Bunch of Crunch is the most basic ass chocolate in the world. You probably had it as a kid. It's just chocolate and Rice Krispie treats. There's really nothing special about it. But goddamn, does it taste so good?
Oh yeah, it's just so funny because it's like, yeah, duh, this would happen. Of course they have to have a reason. It's just the reason just happens to be really, really awesome. But I was just like, yeah, of course, yes.
It's the little moments that Williamson finds, and I never thought of him as a big event guy. Like, I read his nail biter stuff. I thought he did smaller things. It's Superman getting mad when he sees it's Maxwell Lord because he remembers the Maxwell Lord from his Earth and what a dirtbag he was.
Dude,
Right.
that blew me
So good.
away, man. When he was like they're going through it, he was like, "Wait, stop!" He was like, "I recognize him." He was like Max Lord, and they're like, "That guy." And what was it he said? He's like Maxwell Lord's the guy, and he's like, "This is the one we need to be worried about." And they're like, "Whatever, that guy." And what was it he said? He's like, "I'm serious" or something like that. And I was like, dude, what a great way to harken back to Infinite Crisis. Like,
Right.
dude, I'm very excited to see how this
I want
ends.
Superman to look to Wonder Woman and be like, "Look, Diana, you might need to break some necks at the end of this," is all we're saying.
Well, no, because it's the first time we're seeing Superman reference pre-New 52 stuff. Like, this is what we've been waiting on. Like, the pre-Crisis the pre-New 52 Superman shows up. We've been waiting for some moment when he's like, "I recognize that guy. You've never fought him, but if you don't take him seriously, he will wreck you." Like,
But
Right.
that's cool.
Emerald Empress being like, we are in a world where somebody fucked with time a lot.
Oh.
And being like, look at all these clues I'm dropping. You don't even know.
Yeah.
But furthermore to that, the weapon that they're after, they fight a bunch of monks. And again, I might totally be pulling on this one, but hear me out. They have weird circular designs on their head.
How weird.
Who's another person we know who is a powerful godlike creature with weird circular designs on his head?
Is he blue? I can't.
He's got a circle within a circle. It's like a circle and then like a circle in it. Like,
He's a doctor.
he's a doctor.
Circle, dot. Dr. Manhattan is messing everything up.
He sure is.
No, I mean it's just the story is shaping up to be. I mean, but even then, it's like the small things, like somebody in the chat mentioned it. But it's like when Amanda Waller's like, "They're coming after me, and I want you to protect me," and they all look at it for a second and just start laughing.
Oh,
like, like, why would we protect you, Amanda Waller?
Yeah. Batman holds it together. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, he does.
Batman doesn't laugh.
He had a little smile. It was like it was in the corner. You could kind of see it a little bit.
Yeah.
There was a
But
bit of a
like
twitch.
seeing Batman in the Hannibal Lecter
So good.
Yeah.
jacket. I was like, that was clearly fan pandering, but I appreciated it.
Hello, Amanda. Are the bats screaming again, Amanda? Well, are they?
No, it's cool because like this story really points to the idea that all roads are leading to some huge Watchmen thing. Like when you couple that with the fact that Jeff Johns is coming back and writing Watchmen is cool. But I really liked Justice League versus Suicide Squad. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be honest with you guys.
Surprising,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like, I
Yeah.
thought this would just be like a dumb beat-em-up story, but man, Williams is just elevating it. I think it's hilarious, too, because he writes neither Suicide Squad nor Justice League, and yet he's making an event that's better than either of those two books right now,
Yeah,
in my
how do
opinion.
you pull that off? How do you write a story that combines two teams that you're not even writing, and you do it better than both teams that have their own books?
Because
Like, how do you do that?
he's not so close to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can see it a little more clearly. All right,
That's
so I got to
true.
ask you before we move on. In classic Suicide Squad fashion, who from the original team is going to die? I assume it's going to be Rustum because
Yeah.
his power is he has a sword.
Yeah.
It's a scimitar. All right.
Rustam is kind of the you can tell he's the throwaway
Yeah.
because he had the least lines. the least interactions, and
I
he
know.
got the least amount of panel time when Waller was talking about how dangerous they all are.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, and sword guy."
That guy.
And yet he also has the deepest connection to the squad, which I find is funny. And they're already telegraphing, oh, he's going to have a sword fight with Katana. She's like, oh, he's a sword guy? I'm a sword lady. Let's sword this up.
That would be
Let's sort it
amazing
out.
if instead he had a fight with Captain Boomerang, because that's what he reminds me of. He's like the Captain Boomerang of the team.
Captain Boomerang is usually the throwaway. So, like, if he had a fight with Captain Boomerang, that would make my life.
They'll kill each other accidentally.
I'm waiting. There have been a few times where I've been like, is he dead yet? Because it looked like he was almost dead there for a second. I'm just waiting for Booma Ding Dong to die.
Now, how cool is it Williamson, who writes the Flash book, but was unable to use Captain Boomerang in his book because he is now all tied up in Suicide Squad, keeps giving us every issue great interaction between Flash and Captain Boomerang.
Yeah.
I really like the one where Boomerang, because I hate him so much. I really like the part where Boomerang gets really close to the Flash and he's like, haha, you're in a cage. I'm going to tap on the glass. And he electrocutes himself. That's great. And Flash is just in his little, like, floaty speed bubble, like, hey.
Yeah.
The rogues are better off without you, Digger. You were always the weak link. Oh, snap. No, he didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
All
it's
right.
it's shaping up to be a pretty solid story so far.
Yeah,
so,
overall, I think we can all just say, if you're not reading this, go grab it.
yeah.
Go.
should-
I mean, you got 3 weeks left until it's finished, so I mean, you know,
Right.
yeah.
But now's a good point, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so
And
you missed the fight. You could now is the time. Go back, grab this one. Keep going.
And you don't need to read Suicide Squad or Justice League to get a handle on this. Unless you want little character bios of everybody, then read Suicide Squad. But that's really the only reason you want to
Yeah,
read.
Black Vault wasn't
Exact
really even that
bio.
good anyway.
All right, heading back over to Marvel. U.S. Avengers.
Yeah.
Joel and I both read this one, so we're gonna
Wow.
tackle that one. This is one of the Marvel Now imprints, which is just like immediately I'm like, I don't know about this, and then I read it and I was like, oh, I really had fun with this and I liked it a lot.
Me too. I was so apprehensive getting into this book for a couple reasons. One,
Yeah.
it's an Al Ewing Avengers book. He's basically been writing one solid story with DaCosta's Avengers back when it was Avengers World, back when they were New Avengers. I'm like, there's going to be a lot of continuity here I'm not
Right.
going to get. And even the premise of like, oh, USA Avengers, I'm like, okay, this is either going to be like a G.I. Joe riff or it's going to be like a Team America riff. It's
Right.
actually none of those things.
I
It is
know.
actually a very earnest book about patriotism and what makes an American. And it's like America is a melting pot. We're a Hispanic guy, an Asian lesbian, a squirrel girl with dual Canadian citizenship.
Exactly. And
Those
like
squirrel girls crossing our borders.
Yeah, taking your jobs
exactly.
Good job.
and
Exactly.
your squirrels.
No, I really appreciated the fact that we really only had one person who was, he's born in Kentucky, and that was it. Like, and I was like, everyone
And
else.
General Ross.
Oh yeah, in general. Well, yeah, exactly. But wait, is that Ross? I thought that was isn't that a totally different guy that the writer created?
Nope, that's Red Hulk. That's Thunderbolt Ross. I thought it
No,
was.
It's Robert Maverick.
Oh, geez, was it really? Oh,
Yeah,
I read that.
trust me,
Oh,
when I saw the image of him, I was like, oh, it's Thunderbolt Ross, awesome.
Oh,
And then we get to
oh.
his interview, and I was like, oh, you're that other guy who helped make American Kaiju, which I guess is how they're going to spin this into that monster event that's happening.
I get it now. Maverick was another general who chased after the Hulk back in the day. He's also the guy
Right.
on S.H.I.E.L.D., isn't he? Isn't that also Maverick?
Maybe
I
I
think in the
watched
show.
Shield. I just don't remember that.
Unless I'm totally wrong. Okay, that makes sense. So they gave him Red Hulk's power, which is good because
Yeah.
Ross was depowered and locked away, and so they didn't
Right.
have to explain that. That's good. I like
and I
that more now.
really loved the idea of his power being technology based, essentially. Like it's a plug that shoots into him, and he can only use it 1 hour every day and a half. And I was like, that's awesome because you're really
Just
putting
like my smartphone.
But you're putting limitations on it that's gonna come up in this series as we go on. But overall, I first of all I gotta tell you too, like Tony Ho, like I thought her was like Iron Patriot. I was like, I love her.
She's cool.
Absolutely love her. Like I liked the idea. Like, is it like really useful? Not really. Her not using lethal weapons, But I was like, all right, she's gonna stick to that non-lethal weapons. Let's see what she does with that. And like, out of the gate, I mean, she did stop the floating volcano machine.
From
Floating
the Secret
volcano machine.
Empire.
Yeah. I love that this book started off like it was a sequel to an action movie we had never seen. They're like, let's just get into it. Who cares? Go, action, volcanoes.
Also, I just looked it up now. Yes, you were right, Tiv. Maverick is a brand new character from the American Kaiju thing.
Okay.
We've never seen him before.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Which I'm hoping that they use that in that upcoming event to like if they're gonna do something with this whole book. That'd be a really great way to get that.
American Kaiju's coming back, and this is getting tie-ins, so
right.
You know.
Awesome.
You just know.
But yeah, I guess like overall, I like this team. It's another term where Marvel is taking characters that we kind of know, except for Squirrel Girl and Cannonball, but like putting a different face to them essentially, which some people are on board for and some people aren't. But this team, at least, they keep Squirrel Girl as Squirrel Girl. You know what I mean? So you have something that's like, keeping you grounded. DaCosta is a character people know. Part of me felt like a little bit like, I'm like, that's almost what's going on in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show, with an Inhuman running S.H.I.E.L.D., and then this time we have a mutant running, like, New AIM, which I was like, haha, beekeepers. But, like, I thought it's just fun. It's just a fun book.
And really easy to pick up. They steal probably one of the best ideas from reality TV, and that is everyone gets a moment to talk into the camera and explain who they are. And at the end, you find out, oh, yeah, I'm making a recruitment video.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's really fun. And Doreen's was great.
Did anybody look into the camera like Jim on The Office?
No.
Damn it.
Would have been Doreen, and she just didn't do it. She blew it.
Doreen, get it together.
New villain 2, the Golden Skull, who dresses like a British dandy and travels through time trying to undo America.
Right? And I gotta tell you, like, Skullocracy, I'm not a huge fan. I hope that's on purpose because it's so silly. But pirates, I'm all for it.
Do what thou'st will is his call to action.
Exactly. I'm like, all right. And then, of course, we had the reveal of Captain America showing up. And I was like, again, a lot of fun writing in this. Just like, I love how DaCosta's talking about, like, in the future she shows up and Cannonball immediately is like, you planned that, right? Like, that, it's like, I didn't, but I wish I had. Yeah, I just really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And because of that, I know it'll be canceled. So
I know, right? I'm like, this is literally too good to last. This is too many fun things all together. It's weird and it's out there. I give it 12 issues.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
It's the hero Marvel needs, but not the one it deserves right now.
Yeah, the hero they need and the one they're going to cancel.
Exactly. So, okay, staying in that whole Marvel universe there, Caitlin, you read Wasp.
I did read Wasp, the marvelous Madam Wasp. So the Wasp, I actually, from Black Milk, purchased the Wasp shirt and skirt set from them.
Nice.
And then I was like, I have no idea. Like, I know this is the Wasp, but I have no idea who the Wasp is.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm gonna do some research on the Wasp and actually freaking read this comic, which now it makes sense why they made a clothing set. They were getting ready for this to come out.
Gotcha.
It was actually, I was really surprised. It was really, really cute. It was very fun. So so basically the Wasp is the daughter of Ant-Man, and before he died, she was, so her mom got kidnapped shortly after, her mother Maria got kidnapped shortly after she got married to Mr. Pym, and she died a couple days after giving birth to her. So Ant-Man never knew that he had a daughter. Immediately, she was taken by her captors and raised in the Red Room.
Ooh,
yes.
Wow. So is this just like the origin of Wasp? Is that what this is?
Yeah, this is like the origin of Wasp.
We got it in all new, all different Avengers, but they're telling it to us again.
Okay.
Like, we just want to remind you guys. We're sure you already know it, but we just want to remind you. So she, so she gets raised in the Red Room. They pull her out of combat training and more of the violent situations, and put her to work in engineering because she starts to show an affinity for creating and inventing things. She winds up actually recreating the suit that utilizes the Pym particles to make him shorter and smaller, and she creates a pair of wings for herself, and she winds up escaping the Red Room to go and live on her own. She becomes incredibly excited to meet her father and immediately seeks him out, only to discover that he's dead. Despite all of this really intense trauma, though, she's not a very sullen or brooding character. She's actually a little ray of sunshine, just sort of bouncing around everywhere, hyper curious about everything that she touches. So she actually goes with Ms. Marvel to a Pakistani bakery, and she's like, what's this? What's this? I gotta try this. And she's like stuffing pastries down her throat. And she winds up, making friends with just about everybody she meets. They meet Mockingbird at some point. They take down, their own villain and a giant robot. Unfortunately, I'm not super familiar with this villain, but she stole a robot, but she's a biologist.
Oh.
Yeah. I think specializing in genetics research. And she winds up, Wasp winds up infiltrating the robot, taking it down. She sees that it's this famous geneticist, and she's like, I've read all of your incredibly classified research and papers. I'm a huge fan. And she starts gushing over her. And it's very cute. The whole thing is really adorable. And she becomes determined not just to sort of live up to her father's name, but to create a name for herself, and that's sort of where we leave off. A name for herself as the Wasp. So I liked it. I'm excited to see where it goes. It was very fun and very bouncy, but it had just enough of that kind of like darker shadow hanging off in the background, waiting, that kind of thing where you're sort of waiting for the shoe to drop, because you don't have a backstory that tragic without a shoe or sort of Damocles, I guess, hanging over your head. So I'm excited for when that drops and ruins her life again. But I'll keep going. I'm going to keep reading it for that moment. It was very cute. I was surprised.
Awesome. Sounds good. Okay, what's next? Oh, Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, I'm taking point on this one because no one else wanted to. So here we go. So let's all be honest with each other. This is just a filler.
Sure is.
It's a two-part filler.
I know it's a two-part filler. They need a couple of weeks to set something else up. Whether or not it ties into something else, I don't know. They needed this two-part filler, and that's what we got. Totally filler. I gotta tell you, like, people who liked it, awesome, great. For me, I guarantee you ask me about this story in 6 months, I will not remember it.
I was wholly disappointed by this.
Really?
I don't like. It was really
You
cool.
guys were disappointed by that?
I was disappointed by this only because of the fact that it felt so much like filler. Like, I understand that there are filler, but you usually like try not to make it feel so obvious that it is.
I've been disappointed by the last couple Batmans, actually. The fact that this was filler just pushed me over the edge.
I gotta tell you, I kind of dug the last issue, like the finale to that, because
that was fine.
There was a certain like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle style of writing to that. I was like, cool, whatever. And this, I was just like, it didn't feel like we needed the second part to it. Like, this should have been maybe one story and moved on. And like, cool, very cool. We got to see all these awesome, like, crappy villains from back in the day, like Signal Man and the Ten-Eyed Man and Kite Man. Very cool.
Monk.
Right? Like, very, very cool. But we saw them just being punched, and it's like, yes, of course, that's what would happen to them. But it just kind of felt more or less like King's way of just trying to give us fan service.
I think it was King just taking a break.
I'm sure it is, but then let someone else step in for a minute.
I was so disappointed overall by I Am Suicide. Just personally, I found it very disappointing, super disappointing. And I actually thought the filler, because I was just coming off of reading and being really disappointed every issue.
Yeah.
I read the filler and was like, this was great! I was actually like, yay! A ship is happening! I'm so happy I don't have to continue the other plot. It wrapped up, but it was just kind of like...
It wrapped up, but we have another part. That's what I'm like, Why? We did.
The whole
we did-
I was gonna say the whole conceit of this
Yeah.
issue, for those wondering or who didn't read it, Catwoman is going to jail for all the murder she committed. She's a multi-murderer now, and that
237 people.
a number they keep mentioning, and it's such a weird, obtuse number. I'm like, what? Did
Oh,
you
yeah.
bargain for that number?
24.5 people.
Joel, actually, every time we say that, we're being charged. Because they have a copyright on that number now. So if we could just stop that,
Yeah, stop saying 237.
Rob!
We get charged every time we say 237. So stop saying.
Rob, you're going to
237.
bankrupt the channel.
Wait, 0.5? So you killed half a person, or was he half a person already when you killed him?
Yeah.
They kill Johnny Sorrow. Like, he's only half a person because you can't see his physical body. No, I mean, it was okay. Am I the only one who liked I Am Suicide? I'm going to ask that question.
It started strong. The ending was okay. I did not like the middle.
I liked it.
The monologues. So here's the thing. Here's where I get torn. The monologues on I Am Suicide were excellent. Excellently written, those monologues. You could stand up on a stage and present one for your theater class, and they'd give you an A+ for edgy.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was just kind of jumbled. You could understand the point,
Yeah.
but understanding the reasoning behind some of the choices was difficult. And then for the side characters that you were introduced to, were just kind of like, I don't even understand why they're here or why I care about them.
They were
And
devices.
They're pointless. And then on top of that, it got very repetitive. The conversations between Bane and Batman kept getting, like, I would pick up an issue and it was picking up on the same conversation between where Bane and Batman left off. And I feel like I did that 3 or 4 times. I feel like that kept happening, and I was like, is this the same conversation? Because it sounds the same. It's very boring.
My complaint too, both with the middle parts of I Am Suicide and this one too, it's kind of like Tom King going, and here is my thesis on Batman's love life, and this is my thesis on why Batman is a hero, and I'm sitting there raising an eyebrow, being like, we don't see eye to eye on this, do we, Tom King? We have vastly differing opinions on why Batman does what he does, and even why he loves who he loves, because this whole thing is basically Batman being like, I could probably solve the mystery of why Catwoman killed those people, or I could bone her on a rooftop.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. Like it's DC. Well, it's DC Rebirth. You got to create the standard. A run of Batman is not a run of Batman if he doesn't get with Catwoman at least at some point in time.
Oh, no,
But
absolutely.
It could have had its own filler story, though. We didn't need to go through the whole Bane thing and the amazing hand puppet climax.
That was good.
Nasty.
no, I mean I thought it was a pretty touching. I mean not touching, but I thought it was a pretty good issue because it kind of leaves a few things. It kind of fills a few things because with the character of Catwoman, I mean, it's not like it was ventriloquist where Batman was like, "Oh, ventriloquist, killed 237 people because Woody told him to." It's not like that. I mean, it's Catwoman.
I'm
Like
also
she's.
happy Batman didn't bone the ventriloquist on top
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, okay.
I would have liked to have seen that. I would have liked to have seen him boning in
DC
this.
Rebirth,
It's just
okay?
not-
It's not an issue of Batman if he doesn't bone the ventriloquist.
Come on, Arnold Wesker.
Buddy.
Arnold Wesker, I'm very proud of you, man. Just come up to the rooftop and I'll show you how proud I am.
Ship him and Scarface.
I mean, it is.
Ventriloquist, just Scarface.
I mean, it is a filler issue. I mean,
When Cartman has the hand puppet and it gets into a relationship with Ben Affleck, it's
no, I mean, there's no doubt it was filler. I mean, that's exactly what it was supposed to be because it's literally him just saying, "We just wrote I Am Suicide. Bane's coming back with Venom. He's gonna, the next one's gonna be I Am Bane." I liked it because one of the things I think they're trying to avoid is like just a constant onslaught of like events. Of like character-based events. I mean, that's why we got like Superman. We got like Return to the Planet or whatever it is. Because it was cool to just see like these small little snippets here and there. I get that it could have been a one-shot. I mean, that I kind of agree with you on. But no, I mean it'd be kind of weird.
a one shot. It would have been a beautiful like quickie romance thing, and it would have been excellent. And everybody who ships that ship would have been like, my ship.
Yeah.
But coming off of I Am Suicide, it was amazing by comparison, but coupled with I Am Suicide actually brings it down.
Did anyone catch to the bigger Catwoman continuity nod, or she's like, "Oh, who are we robbing? Holly Robinson. Oh no, I'm Holly Robinson. Wait, but she was like your sidekick, and she was Catwoman for a little in the old. Really, she's just another identity of yours now.
Yeah, another personality locked away in there comes out.
Yeah.
I mean, look, overall, I if King needed like to take this break in between like event or whatever you want to call them, arcs, whatever, like I feel like they probably should just let another writer tell this story while he worked on something. Like give him a rest. Like they put writers I think through the grinder a little too much sometimes, and like they're a little too close to the story, and I'd rather give King another chance on another arc than have him slog through this and then write the next arc. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also didn't buy the situation because Batman's like, I don't think you killed those people, even though if you read I Am Suicide, you literally read a letter in Catwoman's words where she says she murdered all those people and enjoyed it.
And she tells you why. She's like, they burned down my orphanage. Just like issue number 2. It's like, they burned down the orphanage I was in. They were also the people that I cared about dying. So I killed all of them in Gotham, and then I traveled the world killing the rest. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
No, but I don't really think you did it, though. Can we still have sex, though?
Yeah. That's really why he agreed with her, just to get in her pants.
So before we move on, like quick 20 seconds, just one last comment from you guys. Caitlin?
I mean, I guess if somebody burnt down my orphanage and killed all my friends, I'd probably kill them all too and probably not feel that bad about it.
All right.
Best comment ever.
Joel?
Meh.
Rob?
It was fun. I mean...
all right. And for me, I'm going to pass on number 15 and check back on number 16. All right. Next on the list, we have Avengers. Just the straight up Avengers. Joel?
I can't believe I'm the only one who read this. I know All New, All Different Avengers wasn't everybody's cup of tea. I stuck with it because, like, hey, it's an Avengers. It's a flagship book. I gotta read it. I will tell you this, though. Man, did Mark Waid turn things around in only 3 issues. Yes, they're going back to Kang. Yes, it's a time travel story. But they do a lot of really good stuff with it. And again, Kaylin, you'll probably like this. The Wasp, the new Wasp, Nadia, is a huge focus of these 3 issues. This is her getting to join the big boys team, basically. And she kind of ends up saving the day on this one. She has to take the Kang baby back in time to fix all the paradoxes.
Joel, I gotta say, everything you just told me right now, I don't care.
Nothing. Not doing anything for you.
The Kang baby? How do you go back?
Kang baby.
Vision stole Kang from history in hopes that he wouldn't become Time Hitler. And that's really what the story is. It's one of those, hey, would you kill Hitler if you had a chance to? Would you kill Kang as a baby? So, and Nadia has that moment in this issue, and she's like, no, I don't think I'd kill baby Kang Hitler.
So who changes him?
Well, that's an option, too, but they're kind of so filled with paradox.
I mean, like, his diaper. Like, who changes him?
That's a dang good question.
I don't know, man.
Vision has a setting, you just turn them.
To me, the most significant role Kang the Conqueror ever played was when Captain America was thrown 50,000 years into the future, and he ran into Kang the Conqueror and Immortus and Immortus's kid or whatever it is. During the whole Hickman Avengers, New Avengers, that was the most significant role he played. I love Mark Waid. Mark Waid, your Flash was amazing. You've got a lot of other great stories too. But if this is really if this is how they're launching, I have no desire to read Avengers.
I swear it's better than I'm making it sound, and it looks beautiful too. The art is kicking, man. It's pretty friggin' good. And even at the end of this, it's funny. As a fan, and you even mentioned it right there, Rob. How you're kind of annoyed by all these Kang the Conqueror time travel stories. Sam Wilson Cap says, you know what? I've had enough with these mother flipping Kangs and these mother flipping time travel stories. Guess what? Come back next week, everyone. We're gonna settle this once and for all, because essentially it's been a blood feud that Waid has been writing ever since the beginning of All New, All Different Avengers, that Kang is just messing with them endlessly.
So it's Captain America versus Time Hitler, is what you're telling me.
It sure is.
So at what point will an alternate timeline Kang return to claim himself as a baby and then raise himself by himself?
They've kind of already done that, actually.
Oh, God. All right. So Old Man Logan, Rob?
Man. Old Man Logan. Okay.
Sounds like a Futurama episode.
So we finally get Sorrentino back to Old Man Logan after the last 2 issues where he wasn't there. Which, dude, okay, I got to throw this out there, man. Sorrentino, Jeff Lemire's writing's good. Sorrentino makes that comic, and like I didn't realize that until he was gone. Like I didn't realize that until he left. The problem that I have with Jeff Lemire's Old Man Logan right now, though, because I was really getting caught up on it before we started the podcast, was that like he takes in two different timelines. So you have a timeline where Old Man Logan is suddenly thrust back into the Old Man Logan Wastelands universe, and then you've got a story where he's talking about how he was sent into space because the Brood took over a space station that previously belonged to Carol Danvers and them. That's the other thing too. Is one of the things I notice here is Jeff Lemire seems to be taking the entirety of the all new, all different Marvel universe and cramming it into the Old Man Logan continuity. So instead of like the original. Old Man Logan story by Mark Miller, where it was like everything up until the Avengers took over the world was the exact same as it was with the main Marvel universe. Instead, now we're kind of left to assume that Old Man Logan, like the Wasteland story, the original Mark Miller Old Man Logan story, actually takes place at some point in the future of the all new, all different Marvel universe. So it's kind of weird the way he's doing. I mean, it makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised this is like editorial mandate, but. I mean, it's a beautifully written story either way, but this one is the first story, the first issue of a new story arc, and it makes sense that somewhere along the line later on, like it'll all come together. It's just kind of planting the seeds of a much bigger set of events that are coming. But I mean, I like it. You know, I'll until Jeff Lemire and Sorrentino stop being the creators behind Old Man Logan, I'll read it. I'll just keep reading it. So
They're too good.
Awesome.
they're solid, yeah.
So good.
All right. Very cool. All right. So, Kaylin, you read Shade.
Yes, Shade the Changing Girl.
Nice.
So we're on issue 4 of Shade the Changing Girl. It's sort of Shade. I don't know how many of you guys are reading it right now, but it's one of the Young Animals titles, and it's based off of Shade the Changing Man, which is the original character Rockshade. So Shade the Changing Girl is a different person. She is not Rockshade. Rockshade was actually a very famous poet and teacher from the planet Meta that she actually looks up to. She steals his interdimensional madness vest from an art museum.
Nice.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
you do.
I guess maybe not an art museum, maybe more of a military aeronautic space type museum. But she steals it, and then she travels to Earth to experience the madness. And Earth is very close to a dimension called the Area of Madness, which is greatly feared by all Metans. So Earth is apparently rife with crazy. And she goes to Earth and she takes over the body of a young human girl, and she's trying to basically live that life. Now, in this issue, she's realizing now that she can't get back home to Meta for some reason. She can't detach herself from that body and return back to her own body on Meta. So a few of her friends on Meta are trying to get her back, and she's kind of trying to get back. Not very hard, but trying to, because she's totally overwhelmed by all of the madness on Earth. So the madness, you can see it. They actually illustrate it very well, and it's incredibly psychedelic. So a lot of like tie-dye-esque patterns, a lot of lava lamp sort of imagery, a lot of random eyes peering out of walls, and a lot of kind of crazy schizophrenic conceptual imagery in hypercolors just popping out at you from all angles, which makes the comic visually really enjoyable and very weird to look at, because there's something interesting going on in every single panel. And the madness essentially just describes sort of the overindulgence of feeling that humans often experience, but to a much more extreme extent. So on Meta, they don't really have those types of feelings or those types of experiences. Here we do, because we're so close to the area of madness.
The madness is mad. It's madness.
The madness and the mania.
It's so hard to describe Shade the Changing Girl. It's one of those things you just have to read. It's really weird, but it's really entertaining. It's a really fun read.
Man, if you guys in the chat... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. The original Shade the Changing Man was very similar. It was very niche and really weird and kind of hard to describe. but it was very entertaining and beautifully drawn. And Shade the Changing Girl reflects that very well.
Yeah. If you guys in the chat want an experience into complete, like a descent into complete and total madness, go read Grant Morrison's Arkham: A Serious House on Serious Earth.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that story's insane as hell. Like that story's crazy.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Nice.
that story's nuts.
Cool. I think that's probably like the most intense comic that we have on this list. But now we're gonna go to Joel, who's gonna tell us about Green Arrow.
Yo, did you guys know I like Green Arrow? I don't know if you know that, but like I really like Green Arrow.
I heard something about that one time.
This
I don't think you really like Green Arrow. I think you're a hipster poser, Joel.
This was a very special issue actually because it saw the return of Green Arrow's arch nemesis as part of the Emerald Outlaw storyline. Someone's going around killing people who have dissented against Green Arrow with arrows, so obviously he's the suspect until Diggle mentions actually like half the people you fight are archers, dude. Could be any one of them, and it turns out it's Merlin was the guy behind it. And my thought was like, dude, they finally brought back Arthur King, the original Denny O'Neil Merlin. No, it's Malcolm Merlin. It's the John Barrowman TV guy, but he looks exactly like the old comic guy, so I will just have to be content knowing that my Green Arrow comics will be forever affected by the Arrow TV show, but at least it's not shitty Tommy Merlin, so I'm good.
All right.
And that was that.
And that was that. The end.
That's all I got to say about that.
Rob, do you have anything on Green Arrow?
No. Is Green Arrow the last one on our list?
No, we have Moon Knight.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't really have it. I mean, I thought like Malcolm Merlin was an actual comic character because I never really read Green Arrow comics. I mean, I know about them, but I never really sat in and read too many of them. I mean, I may have read like Mike Grell's stuff back in the day, but that was about it. So
Arthur King was the original Merlin. Get it? Oliver Queen, Arthur King. Get it?
Ha-ha!
They're opposites of one another.
So creative. But do not discount Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams' Green Arrow because they literally saved his character.
All right, Caitlin, talk to us about Moon Knight. What's going on?
Okay, so Moon Knight, we're kind of seeing a little bit of a backtrack, a little bit of a start over for Moon Knight. So, I guess it's issue 1 or an issue 0, sort of kicking off a new arc for the all new, all different. And Moon Knight is actually this start for this arc was really, really good. We cut between him in his present moment. Anubis has, kidnapped Crowley, and they've gone to another magical dimension. And we're cutting in between that and his backstory, his origin story. But not really the origin story of how he becomes Moon Knight, but the story of him when he's a kid. And the emergence of his schizophrenia and his mental health journey and his parents' concern for him and all of this crazy shit. And including a visit to him by a magical being claiming that it is his father.
Oh.
Yeah. And going back and forth in between sort of the area of madness. No, I'm just kidding. We're cutting back and forth between his past, his present, and then this space in between, which is where his mental illness is.
They're really reinventing the wheel on that one, aren't they?
The art is really gorgeous, and you can very clearly tell what spaces you're jumping into by the different art styles that they're using to sort of convey these spaces.
It's cool.
And it's beautifully drawn. Visually, it's an absolute treat, and you really get to know this character and become attached to him, and I like that. I really love the visions of his childhood, of, sitting outside the therapist office and trying to hear his dad talking to him. I like the first time that he brings a friend home, but that friend doesn't really exist.
Oh.
And all of these little details about him and his childhood that you didn't really know before, and that hasn't really been done with Moon Knight very in depth.
Yeah.
It really hasn't, and I really like that we're getting to explore this character in this way.
Okay, so since you're a fan of Moon Knight, let me ask you this. All new, all different, because I thought about covering all new, like Lunatic and all that kind of stuff. Is that good?
What, for Moon Knight?
Yeah, like the all new, all different run of Moon Knight before they did this relaunch for Marvel Now 2.0. Like, was the
Oh,
all
yeah,
new, all
this
different run
is
good?
Now 2.0, and the last one was all new, all different. Yeah, all new, all different. Moon Knight was actually pretty good.
Okay, because I thought about covering it. So
Moon Knight, I really like. He's considered a bit more on the fringe end and has like the more cult following kind of thing.
okay.
But I think Moon Knight, after all new, all different, and then with this new arc coming in, I think he's becoming more of a prominent character in the Marvel lineup, which I really enjoy because he is a very underrated character, and he is quite. I mean, I think the stories that are done with him get done very well, and we haven't really had a chance to dive more in depth with him because they kind of focus on the, hey, he's a schizophrenic Jewish mercenary. Isn't that weird and cool? So, like, they kind of go right into that as opposed to exploring who he is and how he lives with this illness and how he manages to balance an illness like this with the fast-paced and, high-stress job of a mercenary. And he also has ties to the magical world.
Of course.
It's no baby time Hitler, but I like it.
It's no baby time Hitler, but it's okay.
Joel, you gotta hang on to your baby time Hitler, okay? He's all yours.
I
We're not
will,
gonna
I
take
will.
him from you.
I will cradle my baby time Hitler, and no one else can have him.
He's all yours. Alright guys, that is all the books that were fit to read. No, there weren't, but like that was all the books that we read this week. There's plenty more that came out, obviously.
Actually,
We have plenty more next week. Oh,
I
you
didn't-
read something else?
I didn't think about this until somebody mentioned it.
Okay.
Green Lanterns finished today. The
Okay,
Phantom Ring.
Dude, tell me that. I put it on the list.
Oh, I didn't realize you put it on the list.
I'm not. No, I'm just saying I'm doing that right now.
Well, no, honestly, I didn't even think about it until somebody brought it up. Dude, the Phantom Ring was amazing. All right, so here's the deal, guys. For those of you guys who don't know, Green Lanterns is Sam Humphrey's way of writing, of like introducing people to the Green Lantern mythos. If you never read any of Jeff Johns' Green Lanterns is where you want to start. The cool thing about this is that Phantom Ring was designed for no other reason than to basically show the reader what all the Lantern cores are. Like, to have this Phantom Ring that allows anybody to pick it up instead of having to be chosen, and it just takes you through all the different rings, all the different cores. The cool thing about this is that Sam Humphries basically ended it by having, what is the name? Something Leminski, I can't remember what his first name is, Michael Leminski or something like that. Basically having him become an Indigo Lantern, where he's like, I have compassion for everybody, like, I've done so many bad things, like, I should do the right thing here, I should take the ring off, and then he takes it off and he loses his power, and then Simon Baz steps in. But it's really, really cool because it gives you this kind of run on events that are going forward, but it also sets the stage because now Volthoom, Frank Leminski, there we go, because now Volthoom is in possession of Raimi's body. So, like, basically Volthoom is going to be guiding Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz, which can create some pretty cool stories. Like, he's like, go do these evil things, But it's literally him just kind of filling in the holes for a lot of the Green Lantern mythos for questions that weren't really asked. I think he's going to use Volthoom to connect Jessica Cruz to Volthoom from Jeff Johns' run, because if you guys remember, that was never answered. And Forever Evil, like, Jessica Cruz, like when Power Ring showed up, Power Ring was like, I have the Ring of Volthoom, and then it jumped on to Jessica Cruz. But then in Jeff Johns' run, we had like Volthoom as the first, like the original Lantern, the one that introduced the Guardians to the emotional spectrum, and DC never squared that circle. There was never any answer to, is the Ring of Volthoom, is that the same Volthoom as the first Lantern? They never answered that, and I think that Sam Humphries is going to answer that in his run. Because he's kind of teased on it a little bit. He's kind of hinted on it, which I think would be pretty cool. But
That's awesome.
yeah,
All right. That is the last book.
That's the
on
last
our
book.
list. It was like a hidden track.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you guys got going on this week for the rest of the week, Rob?
I'm probably going to do like Annihilation or Secret Invasion, one of those two. I'm not sure. And then I have no idea what I'm doing for the rest of the week. I don't even, my schedule's over there on the other computer. I have no idea.
Oh well.
So busy, can't even keep track.
Exactly. How about you, Joel?
Comic Multiverse will return this Sunday, so if you're a fan of that, be sure to give that one a listen. Until then, just catching up on reviews. There was a lot of comics that came out this week, and if you want to see what I thought the best comics of 2016 were, I did a video on that. The numbers are doing pretty solid, so if you haven't checked out that one yet, please, by all means, go check that one out. I thought it came out really good.
All right, cool. How about you, Caitlin?
I will be back to streaming on Friday night, so if you guys want to hop on by for an episode of Bedtime Stories, we basically just talk about comic books, we stitch and bitch about regular things. You guys can ask me anything. It's just kind of like AMA all the time, and we just sort of talk about whatever in the nerd realm is going on. So if you guys want to stop by for that, it's at 11 p.m. Eastern time on Fridays. And I think my Gotham Sirens video will be up on this weekend sometime.
Nice.
Awesome. Very cool.
Which I am excited about that, Gotham Sirens. That's going to be cool.
Over on Comic Pop, we, just yesterday we put out back issues on Wonder Woman Blood, the Azzarello New 52, the first volume of that. And I actually ran that one, and we had everybody crammed on the little couch. So that was hilarious. You'll notice a little something special, too, about the wardrobe of Comic Pop and how one person didn't fit in that day for some reason. We just couldn't. Wouldn't go with
I
it.
did catch that. I thought I was just reading way too much into things, but now that you mention it, I feel vindicated.
Right? You'll also be able to see a new Elseworlds exchange that Joel and Sal just did. So that was awesome. So that'll be coming out tomorrow. And then Sal also did something of a Lego build, and it's really funny. So that's going to be coming out sometime either this week or this weekend. So be on the lookout for that.
Awesome.
Right? That's cool. Right?
That's amazing. That's super cool.
Yeah.
The coolest thing there's ever been.
Yeah, be sure to tell us in the comment sections, too, what you thought of this new format. And thank you, Tiffany, for running this one and even giving us nice little spreadsheets so we could keep track.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to make a spreadsheet. Oh.
I think it's awesome. I feel so professional.
I kind of like how it was planned like a debate, like, all right, and that's time, and now we move to Delegate Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up, Joel, and now we move to Delegate Rob.
What, are you going to, like, ring a little bell, like, ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling? Your time's up.
No, you guys did great. I did have a timer going for every single section, even my own. I was like, oh, I got to stay on time.
Wow.
So, yeah, just definitely let us know if you guys liked this. And if not, then we'll reevaluate it. But, we're trying to make everything better here. It's 2017. It's time for something new. So we're gonna just try and go onward and upward, right, guys?
Yep.
The future.
Word.
Right, yeah. Well, the future.
The future.
All right, Rob. Why don't you take us out?
Yeah. Anyway, guys. All right. Well, I guess we're gonna bounce off here. Make sure you guys follow us. The Real Zoobs on Twitter, and is it still Sal Says What on Twitter?
It is still at Sal Says What.
Okay, that Sal Says What, and that Sea Monster, and whatever Joel's is, and
Joel.
Comments Explained. What is it, Joel?
Hey, Joel.
With that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end.
Whoa, and at that.
Well, I guess not really the video. I said that Sea Monster.
Oh, I missed that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I guess.
appreciate Tiff throwing me in again there.
Yeah. Like she gets 2 mentions. She can't be the only one to get 2 mentions.
I think that's special.
Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap up this podcast, and thanks for coming out. Make sure you guys come back 6 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's when we have the weekly poll and the poll. And, I guess we'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Bye. Alan Scott.
Alan Scott.
Little stealth, Alan.